Hello everyone, welcome back to Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs. Where we last left off, I made a mistake and missed a note, but as you can see, I've got myself back to this area right after we got chased by the engineer pig. Or mechanic pig. I think it is engineer, but I never remember which one it is specifically. Ah, here we go. This is where I missed it. Really? Again with the pig masks? Those are the dumbest scares available in this game. A different strategy for the poor who mistrust the offered hand, the play of steaming awful for them, we are become the disappearance in the night. Sorry. More efficient and less viable to picking off stragglers and strays is the removal of entire communities in one swoop. Let the ground under them and fall to the moor. Let the ground open under them and fall to the moor. Last month, by activating the doors at shortly after midnight on a balmy Saturday, 57 individual products were obtained in a single catch. I have instructed the workhouse to begin plans for a street festival before the end of the summer, to pack out the narrow lanes with a teeming throng with hundreds of pairs of feet. We have begun to assemble a network of false streets and have extended the holding pens in preparation. A second pig line will be added to enable the system to cope with the increase in traffic. Interesting. I wonder how Mandis planned on destroying the world. Dumb mask. I wonder how Oswald managed to go about that or managed to try and go about that. Sure, he'll destroy London, but will his pigs really spread to the rest of the entire world? That's a large area to cover. Farming the world. A missing vein. I see this now. We must find them. Those scrolls, those old words written upon metal rods that glow in the half-light. The dusk, this gloaming. This game's story has been fantastic so far. The gameplay has been very lacking, and I think it's not just my computer to blame for this lag. I think I've heard that this game has poor optimization, though I don't know that for sure, so don't quote me on it. And my computer definitely isn't exactly optimal for this kind of thing. As I've stated before, it's good, but it's old. Counterattack. He's so excited that he adds an exclamation mark in his writing. I have returned, an angel of vengeance, a saboteur once more. I will find a way to stop this vast enterprise of slaughter and of destruction opened the heart before, confuse the machine enough to spring its locks and secret doorways. I must cause it great shock, stab its eyes, poke hot wire into its ears, hammer to its teeth, and push glass into every orifice. Then it will gasp, and in that gasp I will scuttle into its throat and stab its heart from the inside. Even now, Mandis has a horrifying way with words. Spare me the details, dear Oswald. I've had quite enough of your terrifying ramblings. Don't tell me those are human corpses. I thought those were pigs at first. That is definitely a human body. Or torso, I should say. I kinda wish the noise, like, went away while you read the notes. It's really hard to hear what I'm saying under all this advanced machinery. No machine blades for Fatty Bishop and Gluttony Heiress. Prime cuts all for the sorting bins and the very best as always. Back in the dumb waiter to the kitchens above. To be stewed and plumped and gravied and breadcrumbed and returned to the table for the next night's feast. And not every night, you see, although we have begun to increase the frequency of the final act. Unlike the poor, the rich will be missed. Given time, but we will continue to spoil and ready them. And our fine foods are now exported to mansions and lodges across London. And it has been noted that in the times of late, how rather overweight the great and the good are becoming, with their diets of fine wine and rich meat. Indeed, in Punch just last week, a cartoon showed Viscount Swain as a stuffed pig laid upon a platter for his peers to dine upon. A vicious and cowardly slander, no doubt, for he tasted delicious. You know, I often question my own sanity upon reading those notes, how he manages to write all of that repeatedly. Can't say I understand it. No, understand isn't the right word. Can't say I... Well, I wouldn't partake in that kind of writing, let's just say that. I'd like to go up the ladder first. More Compound X, and if I remember correctly, this stuff has a unique reaction when a light is placed upon it. I have no idea what that's doing, but it's bound to be good. At the spark plug. This electrification must be lethal to the touch. Now, to confound the machine and flood the system. This time not with sewage, but with boiling, sparking liquid death. Alright, let's not go down there. I don't know about you, but going toe-to-toe with a giant, powerful pigman wasn't on my list today.
But will they be free?
Yes, my friend. Drained and bled and freed from the prison of the flesh. Free to ascend as smoke to the stars.
And the good? The worthy? How will we save them?
Show me these worthy, Mandus. Show me these good. I do not see them.
What an incredible villain the Machine is. I love every line of his. Or it, rather. I adored Alexander and Justine as villains, but the Machine is such a fantastically written villain. As were Alexander and Justine, but there's just something about the Machine that I really love. Perhaps it is his its unbridled rage towards humanity. I do believe the Machine is a manifest of Oswald's other side, so to speak. Although in the flashbacks he does definitely seem to be persuaded by the Machine to do a lot of what he does. Then upstairs, to bed, to toss and turn on bloated stomachs, to copulate and puke upon Chice Lounge. Four-poster or dressing table, collapse at last into the engulfing mattress, drunk and drugged and fat and stupid and senseless. And spring the trap, man piggies, spring the trap. At a pull of a lever, a set of hydraulic pistons and gears are fired. resulting in 3 walls of steel bars dropping from the ceiling via the canopy to cage the product into the bed, preventing escape. The entire bed is then tilted backwards into a wall by a powerful spring mechanism, also fed by hydraulics. The pressure for this system is created as a byproduct of the vacuum evisceration system employed for mass production elsewhere on the pig line. In this way, we have created our very own bottled revolution, for the movement of the masses is a casual factor in the extermination of the rich. Oswald's hatred of the rich and humanity as a whole is potent. It is very putrid. He holds no restraint in what he says. Isn't that supposed to explode? I don't think that was according to plan. Yeah, that's better. Coolant pumps. I sense an opportunity, my first strike. Impending these cogs with a large enough object should jam the flow of coolant, causing a pressure buildup that will split the pipes and rupture the tanks. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Oswald had been holding in his hatred and disgust over humanity for a large amount of time. The way he speaks without constraint, it's like he's letting off years of steam onto his notes. I do not want to miss a single note. I have been quite thorough with my searches up to this point. I was so invested with the London attack by the piggies that I was not able to focus on like backtracking and making sure I got everything. My brain was just so focused on the story that was unfolding before me. And it's not to say that a Machine for Pigs gameplay is lacking per se. It is quite fun indeed. I mean, the game is very short, therefore its simple gameplay does not overstay its welcome. So it doesn't stop being fun. It doesn't last quite long enough for me to get sick of the gameplay. However, it is a very simple and uninvolved gameplay. This game's story is its primary factor. Time to kill that piggy. If I could aim. I believe doing that does something. I'm not sure what. That's exactly what it does. I knew it was going to do that. I'm not sure why it does that. Perhaps there is now a flood down there that wasn't there before. I don't know, man. I don't want to move on until I'm... I suppose I'll be okay. I mean, you saw. I checked thoroughly. I can't be blamed if I miss a note. And trust me, I'll know if I've missed a note. I'll go back, don't you worry. I turned off the electricity, so it should be safe to maneuver now. And hey, it's my favorite time of the day. We can examine this pig's corpse. In a similar way, it is wrapped up like the grunt, and I know it was made in the same way the grunts were made, or at least in a similar way the grunts were made, but the design is very different. It is still covered in leather wrappings to presumably keep the body intact, as both the grunts and the brutes and, well, basically every enemy in the Dark Descent and every enemy in the Machine for Pigs, excluding creatures like the water monster, are all a Frankenstein-type creation. I believe the Frankenstein was put more heavily into this game, though, as these things are powered by electricity and brought back by electricity. There are lots of what looks to be metal parts sticking out of its body, such as here, unless that is bone. I do believe it is metal, though. And despite having the appearance of pig legs and pig feet, these are not pig legs. As we can see, these are unfortunately human legs that have been disconfigured to look like a pig's legs, as goes to the rest of the body. The rest of the body is much the same, except for the head. Now, I do believe that the head is simply pig corpse parts surgically grafted to a human corpse before being brought back to life. Similar to the grunt, one of the arms is normal and human. However, I will say there is a difference in size for each finger, and a drastic one too, I believe. The other arm is much larger. This is likely the arm they use to attack you with, and it is also the arm that they primarily use to support their body as they move. By far the most fascinating thing, though, is their heads. Even their eyes are very glazed over, likely due to the fact that they are corpses. There's a stitch in the belly here, but no stitches anywhere else, I don't believe, so I do wonder why there is a stitch in the gut. I wonder if their organs were replaced and messed with as well. And I know some surgery was done to their brains to keep them, I suppose you could say, easy to control. What a horrifying creature, and the same goes for the rest. Dark Descent, the grunts were really bad, but I think these creatures are even more grisly. These are gnarly things. Oswald has a sick and twisted imagination. That sounds bad for the machine, which is good for us. I wouldn't recommend touching that again. We are definitely now much more thorough in our attempts to destroy the machine for good.
I know you, machine. I know what you fear. I will rain excrement into your very soul. I will destroy you.
You are too late, Landis. My great works are almost begun.
I am surprised the machine can respond to what Oswald said there with a counter-argument. I would not be able to do such a thing. I would be quivering. I would be afraid. I would yield. I would surrender then and there. If anyone said I will rain excrement into your soul to my face, my response would not be you are too late. Props to the machine for its bravery in dealing with this absolute monstrosity. I still can't get over that line. I will rain excrement into your very soul. What an epic line, but it's so silly at the same time. I do believe there is a note somewhere around here, so before I go into the trippery, I want to find it. Why is it that I always get lost in the areas with a large amount of lag? I mean, yeah, I've seen worse lag, but it's still frustrating. And waste not, want not, for here the assorted slop and innards are sifted and sorted and enter the world through more channels and means than one could possibly conceive. The product passes by this section of the engine and is driven through the blade, splitting it into two sections ready for the butcher's block. And in the interim, it is kept in our freezer bays under the house, and the heat produced naturally by the refrigeration process feeds into the pipes and crannies of these rooms, and is the very reason, my dear friend, that we can sit here in shirts and waistcoats but no jackets on a freezing winter's night, without a fire in the grate, and discuss our great enterprise. The warmth in our bellies and toes may be attributed directly to those bellies and toes even now passing through steam, fire and blade beneath our feet. What are you talking about, my good man? I don't understand what you mean by that. Normally I can somewhat understand his ramblings, his notes, but this one is beyond me. I'm too tired to read through that again. It's, perhaps someone else can tell me what that means, but right now I can't be bothered. So I'm just going to do a quick checkup, make sure I have all the notes I should have so far. I believe I should have about 41. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 36... 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Let's go! I'm getting a bit stressed out because I know that there are dangerous things to come. And every pig is a chance for me to die and have to restart everything all over again. Telekinesis pigs! Check it out! What the heck? Oh my goodness. I believe that's just the animation of the pig struggling to keep up with the animation of the blocks. Or it's the animation of the blocks that's struggling to keep up with the animation of the pig. But it looks immaculate. It must be its magnetic abilities. A secret hidden move of the pigs. I don't even know why they bother to chase you, they should just pull you towards them. Walking away from those temples, that small pile of stones under the rhododendrons, the skulls of innocents under the loose clod, headless rib cages in the cool stone behind the altars, 3,000 miles apart, I trace back my life to this instance. Rain channels eroded in an ancient stone. The toxins are already in this damp, this falling water. I hack and retch and vomit into the sink and grasp the ball with both my hands and stare. There, in the plug hole, as clear as day, a toy spine. Clockwork and intricate like a child's spine. But clockwork, how could that be? How could a child's spine be made of like clockwork? I washed it carefully and placed it on the mantelpiece. By the egg I laid myself under the garden where the children's skulls are buried. I call it my Mexico. This note feels important. There are a lot of notes that we have read through that feel very important, but none of them make sense to me. Perhaps we just don't have information that we need yet. Perhaps there is a note or a moment that's going to happen that'll just make me be like, oh my gosh, every note that didn't make sense now makes sense. I feel like on the last note I should go back and review some of the notes before I move forward. What is that voice? Imagine if I died there, guys. Like, I played it very risky there, just jumping down. It's entirely possible I could have missed the click and splattered on the ground here. How embarrassing would that have been? It is You say that again, and I'll slap you. It is critically injured now. I am sure of that. It jeers no more. I feel it shudder around me. A wounded animal pressed flat to the ground. I feel it is afraid of me, and I hate it all the more, as I hate myself for unleashing it. My head pounds with blood, my teeth vibrate, I retch and burn with fever. I am an angel of death, descending to smother the firstborn for the death of the two that came after. Interesting that he uses the analogy of a wounded animal, as he clearly has a history in hunting. Not uncommon of this era.
I am here again, at the foot of those stairs, towards the red light of the nursery, sunset in the window like a bleeding sky, the horizon a slit throat, the seeping dark to drain the guilt from us. I am the jaguar-faced man. I am the feathered serpent. This priesthood is mine.
That's a lot of blood.
I can meet him, your great engineer. How marvelous. I must say, Mr. Manders, my excitement is almost unseemly.
Yes, I can see that. Step this way, Professor. I will be right behind you.
Manders. Manders, where the devil are you? I can't see a damn thing. Manders! We are the pig, Professor. We are all the pig.
Man, what an incredible scene. I had my suspicions that the professor didn't make it out alive after all of those recordings. I'm not sure what would have been done to the professor. I'm assuming the professor is one of the pigs. Oswald is... he wasn't well at all. He isn't well now, but back then... Are they gonna take their hearts out again? Yep. Lots of imagery of hearts being taken out. Clearly this is a reference to the Aztec statues he saw. Or just Aztec imagery.
I climb in stillness now. Blue water runs in my veins, now I am clean. I carry the knife of this factory, the bowl of this mill. I am come to collect you from your fields and your furnaces. I will gather you into the white clouds. I will gather you to me, and I will take you home.
Oswald is an amazing character. It's really hard to say whether I prefer Daniel or Oswald as a main character. Justine was really good, but you didn't get to know her long enough to really decide whether she could be favourite. But for the short time you did know her, her character is great. And she most certainly serves her purpose for the short game that she stars in. But really the challenge is between choosing Daniel or Oswald for me. And it is a difficult choice indeed, for both are fantastic characters. Although I would say that Oswald is a little more... I don't want to say interesting, but he's a little more fleshed out. Although The Dark Descent was Daniel's story, it didn't delve into his character quite as much, outside of what was necessary. So it's easy to say you prefer Oswald because of course he's got so much character development. Though I will say it is quite a testament to Daniel that he is as likable and amazing as he is with his little focus that he gets. Hang on a second, did I get every note? Yeah, I got every note. And despite Amnesia and Machine for Pigs not exactly being a completely direct sequel to The Dark Descent, they both complement each other really well, as do Oswald and Daniel as characters complement each other super well. The veil lifts, the bride is waiting, and in that instance, cradling my children's heads in my palms, I knew I had to unbuild what I had constructed. The machine was ever mine, and it fell to me to redeem it and myself. I do wonder if he built the machine before or after his kids died. Oh, obviously he built them before.
My gears are adjust, my steam is built. Soon I will spill that blue water and split the egg, the atom, my soul, and there will be a very great burning that we might make the world clean. Be proud, for this is your doing. Until you steeped me in the blood of your own, I was nothing but rotten architecture. You have made me, and I will make the world anew.
Yeah, of course he built it before the kids died. The kids always stated, Edwin and Enoch always stated how busy he was. He was working on the machine. It must have been his wife's death, of course, that set off his journey to create this machine. And also, when I say that Oswald's a great villain and the machine's a great villain, or when I say Oswald's a great villain, I also mean that the machine's a great villain because they are one and the same. The machine is just a part of Oswald. They sound the same for... No! Ladies and gentlemen, what you see before us is potentially a run-ending area, for we are about to come in contact with our new foe. A foe we have not engaged with yet, but we have gotten hints of them. A dimensional shifting monstrosity that has lost its mind will chase us beyond that gate. I know what I am about to say does not instill you or me with much confidence, but I have never ever managed to get past this enemy without dying. And that is why I am so terribly worried. Will I overcome this challenge and prove that I am capable and that I will not die and instead rise from the ashes of my past failures? Or will I just repeat history and die and die and die until eventually I manage to actually make the progress that I want to make? Let's find out. So let's go over some rules real quick. If I do die, don't worry, I won't subject you to the entire game once more. I will simply just play through it again and show you the clips that are significant until I get back to where we were. If I do not die, then things continue as normal. Please don't die, I'm on my hands and knees here. I know throughout the Dark Descent and Justine I have overcome some, and even throughout this game I've overcome some crazy dangerous situations, come out on top and beaten the odds despite how difficult I've often made things for myself. But this is a problem of a different breed. Am I stalling for time? Quite so, quite so. As to go forward, I know, I'm glad I stalled for time, I would have missed this thing. Then you already know all I would tell you. You already know what you have done, and what you must now do. Walking away from those temples, that small pile of stones beneath the rhododendrons, the skull of innocence under the loose clod, headless rib cages and cruelly torn asunder to expose their flowers. In the cool stone behind the altars 3,000 miles away, I trace my life to this instant. Rain channels eroded in ancient stone, the toxins are already in this damp, thus falling water. And in that instant, cradling my children's heads in my palms, I knew then that I had to unbuild what I myself had constructed. Though even then it was a little more than a sickening dream. This machine is ever mine, and it falls to me to redeem it, and myself. So it seems it was the death of his children Edwin and Enoch that made him change his tune, which makes a lot of sense. I have no doubt that Mendes will redeem himself, much like Daniel redeemed himself all those years ago, 60 years ago. I'm sure Oswald will be no different. I know you guys don't want to see me stall for time for goodness knows how long, so let's just get a move on. But I have no game plan, I have no idea what to do. In my dreams I walk with my children. I walk tunnels where no human has trod before, I am sure of that. It is just me and him now. Frost forms on my coat sleeves, the deathly still in the freezing air tell me I am close. Oh, we're close, alright. But if things don't go according to plan, we may be further than I had originally suspected. I don't think I'll bother closing doors behind me, guys. This thing can teleport, I'm assuming it can teleport through doors. It would be a waste of effort to try and save myself through the age-old.
Why did you take my children?
I, Mandas. Of all the blood we have spilled together, the first drops fell from your hands alone.
Then I am damned for a filicide, and everything is lost.
I've mentioned this before, but once again I can't imagine how Oswald feels now. Similarly to how I can't imagine how Daniel must have felt. Come on, you're the runner-up in legendary gameplay, you're a legend, you're undefeated. And make sure you keep that title, okay? King, legend, the goat, whatever else I can say to make myself feel better. You the man, you the guy, you've got this. You keep stalling, I'll smack you. I'm sorry. Really, I'm sorry. No. Grandpa said that's enough of that now. Grammy, Gram. This isn't gameplay! This is torture! Ooh. Do I deserve this? Come on, you've got about 4 hits, don't you? You knock it off with that music now, young man. Follow the children. Goose bags. Drink machines. Milky Way bars. Okay, let's examine our area. Make a game plan. I don't know what to do. My heart is pounding. But this just makes stronger men. That's right, you heard me. I'm gonna be stronger from this. Tougher. Better. You've got this. You have got this. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it for even a second. So what, you have hours of gameplay to catch back up to. So what if it'll take you a while? So what if uploads slow down because of this? You signed up for this, and you know what you're getting yourself into. Now, be the legend I know you are, examine the area, make your game plan, and evade this gross pig monstrosity. This swine can't get the better of you. To the left of us we have a lever, and to the upper right of us we have another lever. What does this mean? So the power's gonna go off? Undoubtedly. And we're gonna be chased. While we're doing that, memorize the locations. You know what to do. I know what to do. We all know what to do. The levers are being pulled, the pig is being defeated, and I am being a legend. Step 1. The lever over here. You think you can turn off? You can't. The pig! The pig! Where do I go? Was that seriously it? How on earth have I died every time I faced a pig? Let's just take a recap here, fellas, okay? What happened in that exchange? The pig teleported, stared at me for a few seconds as I ran to the other lever, and then teleported away. And then it teleported next to the switch. It had the perfect chance to run at me and tear me limb from limb. But it just stood there, menacingly, looking at me. I was scared of that? I feel mighty embarrassed right about now. Alright, let's not get egotistical though. We're not out of the woods yet. Things could very well get dangerous. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. Certainly, you jest, good man. Was that it? Mandus descending amongst the spirits. The Aztecs believed they could avert the apocalypse through sacrifice. History tells us they failed. Their tragedy was simply that they could not spill enough blood in time. This message here, I believe, perfectly encapsulates Oswald's perspective on things. That's a very interesting way to see how things went about. Alright, we're not out of the woods yet. We're out of the woods, gentlemen. Wow.
Only to save you. Only to spare you. I would have given my soul to spare you this world and its loan.
Such a powerful line.
Oh, my children. My children. What have I done? What have I become?
I truly believe Oswald would give anything for the people he cares about.
I will put it right, my darlings. All of my wrongs will be righted. All of my sins washed clean.
However, that is, once again, as I've mentioned before, his greatest problem. Sometimes there are things you shouldn't do for the sake of others. Memories, they surface like bloated bodies rising to the scum of the flames. I looked at them covered in blood of their dead mother, little piglets squalling in their swaddling, and my heart at once was filled with great love and a consuming hate I could never have imagined. At that point, did my soul split, creating him? Was this the egg of my soul? The moment the great clock began to tick. Is the only path to redemption to join us together again? To make myself whole, to close the grand circle and take that madman into my heart once more, and forgive him, and myself as well. I believe that has gotten us the Archivist achievement, and we have now almost completed this game 100%. And once again, what a powerful note. What a fascinating thing. And I do believe there is truth in what he says of his soul splitting at that moment. I do believe that there was always great duality within Oswald.
My darlings, and I am sorry. I am sorry for all I have done. I simply loved you all too much for this world.
I'm sure love is a very strong thing that Oswald feels. He has a lot of love to give. Maybe too much. Milk? Milk? Did you just say milk? Anyways, excusing that, I didn't realize it turns out I am actually still in the woods, in the very dangerous woods. Mandis is alone. I search for instruction, for advice, for help in my goals, but in return the system mocks me. Simpleton, it says. You must find your own answers now. Is the pig near? You can be honest if the pig's near. Should I be scared? Is it behind me? Is it in front of me? Is it to the left? To the right? Bottom right?
Put aside your misguided crusade and let me save them. You may hate me, Mandus, but I have seen the future, your 20th century, and let me tell you this, a far greater slaughter awaits you there. I seek to save the world by blood now, before millions fall beneath history, pushed under my...
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! You'll regret it! I'll make you regret it! What was the machine saying? I'll make you wish you were never born. I'll make you wish I was born. I'll make you wish I wasn't born. Ah, teleport away! You disgusting pig! Don't do this to me. There was once a time where I was the greatest in the world. You couldn't even begin to imagine how awesome I am. While 90% of what I said didn't make sense, it kinda did motivate me to make it past that. My heart is inside of itself. Let me catch my breath for a moment. I see the end of the universe. That took it out of me. That is the best scare in this entire game. I never would have suspected that right at the end it would teleport me back to the creature. That is the closest I've gotten to dying in this game. If I had died right before the end, well, let's just say I would have been siding a little more with the machine, Oswald's bad side. I would have made my own crusade against humanity if that happened. Oh my goodness. I know that's not a heart right there. Whose heart is that? It would be absolutely insane if that was Oswald's heart. Though I don't imagine how he would still be alive, but I can't imagine who else's heart would be there. You look important. I'm still shaky right now after that. Oh, I forgot one of them. I'm really making a fool of myself here and disrupting the flow of this amazing ending. That's what I'm talking about. I believe it is now.
Now, creature, I will destroy you.
Stop him! Stop him! Kill him!
It is over. It is
Dear me.
End this madness.
You are most certainly correct. Now don't do anything more with the pigs, please. I've had enough of...
God help me. I have lost the gyrate the soul of the world.
Enoch, Edwin, Oswald, and I. Fascinating. I recognize this song, though I don't know its name, but I definitely recognize it. And what a great song choice for this.
Madness, listen to your heart. You know you're with me. You created me to save the world. I am your friend.
And here we have the machine. The heart of the machine. I have absolutely no idea who resides in it. I don't think they're anyone important. I think it's just some random dude that the machine is speaking through. I believe this is a nameless corpse that Oswald has sealed half of his soul into. The hateful half, so to speak. The one we hear speak, the one that refers to itself as machine, and the one that Oswald refers to as machine.
Mandus, please, I am no more evil than you. We sought the same thing, to save humanity, ridding them of their painful, stupid, pointless lives. Mandus, stop. Think about what you are doing. For your children, Mandus.
Do not speak of my children, monster.
I did not kill your children, Mandus. You sacrificed them on the temple steps, knowing what the coming century would do to them. Your sons will drown, lungs full of mud and shrapnel, on the banks of the Somme. You wanted to save them from the horror to come. That is the vision we shared. Everything we have built to avert this coming nightmare. You and I are one. We are the same. Our souls are entangled. We deserve to make them free. I have seen 2 brothers fall. I have lain with holy wars and copulated with the autumnal fallout. I have dug trenches for the refugees. I have murdered dissidents where the ground never thaws and starved the masses into faith. A child's shadow burnt into the brickwork. A house of skulls in the jungle. The innocent Manders trod and bled and gassed and starved and beaten and murdered and enslaved. This is your coming century. They will eat the Manders. They will make pigs of you all, and they will bury their snouts into your ribs, and they will eat your hearts. Please, Manders, no. For your children.
I lay there and watched the god I had created die. At the end, when we were cold as the stone we had hewn his body from, when the lights were nearly all extinguished, we heard, in the silent distance, the man-pigs singing to one another. Then, as the last lights were gone, and we lay together in the deep, they drifted away, and all was silent. Such a silence I have never known. And as the dust settled on my open eyes, and we lay together embraced forever, I heard, miles above us, the sounds of the city turning over in its sleep. A church bell ringing out, and in that moment, the new century was born.
What an incredible ending. Chills, it covered my entire body. Truly, I couldn't have asked for a better ending to such an incredible story. You know, I can't entirely blame Oswald either, with everything he saw, because I believe it was the orb that made him see everything he's seen. Once he went to that Aztec temple, what he found inside, I believe, was an orb. However, at the end you can see that the machine is powered by 2 orbs, so he must have found 2 of them in that temple. But either way, what he saw when he touched the orb. Similar to Daniel, what Daniel saw was another dimension, but what Oswald saw was the future. And in that future, he of course saw his children's fate, but also the fate of many, many, many other human beings. And when he got those two orbs, I can't entirely blame him. I mean, if you saw all of that, what would happen to your children and to the rest of humanity? And at the same time as seeing that, you were also given the power to end everything. I'm not exactly saying you would, but I'm not saying you wouldn't either. I can understand why Oswald would come to that conclusion. It makes perfect sense. He was shown those horrible sights and also given the power to do something about it all at the same time. I don't want to sit here and villainize Oswald for everything he's done, because he shouldn't have been shown that all in the first place. The biggest crime here was that he was shown something no man should ever see. There was not a single human being on Earth that would be able to handle that information. Not only is it an information overload, but it's an overload of very, very negative information. I'm sure he saw all of the good stuff that happened from 1900 to 2000. But all of that was insignificant to him compared to every horrible piece of information he got alongside that. And this also explains how he was able to create so much using that, how he was able to create the machine and everything is because he had two orbs. Look at what Daniel and Alexander were able to do with just one orb. Or specifically Alexander. Oswald had two orbs. And interestingly enough, the Shadow didn't come after him. And alongside that, he was able to use them, and I know that somewhere in the Dark Descent it states that it requires a great deal of mental strength to use and control the orbs. I believe it's Alexander that says this. So, the only logical assumption here is that Oswald both has a great intellect to be able to know how to use these orbs, but alongside that, has incredible mental strength. Still though, he is only human. And being subjected to that nightmare, every bit of negative information from the 1900 to 2000, all at once. It's amazing he didn't just die on the spot of a heart attack after seeing all of that, to be honest. And of course the information that would have messed with him the most was the sight of his own children dying in the war. It is a parent's greatest nightmare that your children die before you do. And Oswald saw that and then some. I feel as if those orbs shouldn't be on Earth. Humanity shouldn't be able to be in the same area as them. I have no idea why they're there in the first place. But they do extremely messed up things. This was an excellent game from beginning to end. The story was captivating and it kept me interested all the way through. At the end there, I got very emotional. The ending is just immaculate. The machine's speech and Oswald's closing words are so good. The only issue with this game is that the gameplay was... Oh well, there are a few issues with this game. For example, the audio mixing was a bit weird. I mean, the Wretches have an amazing theme that you can barely hear under all the machine and pig noises and whatnot. But it is an incredible theme. And the music in this game is horrendously loud and doesn't mix well with the rest of the audio, which is quite quiet. alongside that, the graphics, I would wager they're actually worse than the Dark Descent. And that's not just because of how low my settings were. The game has this weird blue fog that surrounds everything and gives a really strange look. It would have been much better if it just had like a pitch black, slight grey fog, much like Amnesia the Dark Descent had, but they had this weird blue fog over everything. And in general, things just looked odd at times. And the game ran really poorly for some reason. I don't know if that's just my computer or the optimization, but I do believe I've heard that the optimization is poor for most people. But once again, don't quote me on that. The information I got wasn't exactly all that reliable. That's not to knock, however, the designs in this game. The creature designs, for example, and the machine's design and the way the areas look, the game's areas and stuff, is chef's kiss. It looks amazing. The actual design of everything is incredible. It's just the quality of how it was presented was a bit lacking in my opinion. I think the Dark Descent actually looked better, personally. Perhaps that is mainly just because of my low settings though, and also the blue fog. The blue fog is its main weakness. And once again, the music, immaculate. The music in this game is fantastic, much like the Dark Descent and Justine. Each game's soundtrack has been amazing, and perfectly encapsulates everything that it represents. I think A Machine for Pigs had the best OST out of all of them. Like when London's being attacked and stuff, the OST playing there is crazy good. Even if it is held back a bit by the poor audio mixing. And the gameplay suffered a lot. This is definitely like an interactive story, which of course that is what games are, interactive stories, but the gameplay was nothing like Justine and the Dark Descent. There was no inventory, there was no item management. The most you got to interact with was the notes and machinery. The pigs were absolutely not threatening at all. I got scared, but that's just because I'm a bit of a jumpy individual. And I tend to get myself in the weirdest of most difficultest situations for absolutely no reason. But, you know, if you're not me, it's really easy. I mean, the Tesla pig was a great example of that. It teleported just simply to look at me. And at the end there, when I got lost in that area, the pig wasn't even looking for me. The pig had failed to catch my scent, and it was just walking elsewhere. The only reason it chased me and attacked me is because I ran directly into it. If I had not ran directly into it, I wouldn't have even gotten hit. And you have a lot of chances. I do think the Tesla pig kills you in 2 hits, so if it had hit me one more time, I would have been screwed. But once again, that was my fault. I ran directly into it. The same with every other encounter in this game. I mean, just look at the weird maze area, which I hated so much, where I was trying to find that note. The pig, once it had seen me, it took a while to start chasing me, and even when it did start chasing me, I outran it easily. So there is no challenge in this game. Hiding from the pigs is remarkably easy, and running from them is surprisingly even easier, I would say. There is one thing I like about this game over the Dark Descent, and that's that the enemies stick around when you die. Now, you didn't see that with me because I'm a legend and I don't die. In the Dark Descent, I never died, but if you did die, the enemies would disappear. Likewise with A Machine for Pigs. Oh, no, not likewise, sorry. The opposite of A Machine for Pigs. They stick around. I do like that, but when they provide no threat, it doesn't really matter. So, there are lots of good things about this game, and there are mainly bad things related to the gameplay and things like that. The story, however, is its main defining feature. I absolutely recommend buying and playing this game just for the story alone, as it blew me away, and I'm sure it blew you guys away too. It's truly an immaculate story. There's a lot to say on it, but I won't be delving into that right now. Maybe in the future. I do plan on revisiting these games far into the future, and when I do, I'll probably spend a lot of my energy just simply talking about the stories and whatnot. But for now, I don't want to sit here talking for hours on end about the incredible story, as much as it is tempting to. But this game's story is definitely its defining feature, and I think it's better than The Dark Descent and Justine combined. And that's saying something, because Justine and the Dark Descent story are some of my favourite stories. Really good stories. But for now, I'll be ending this game here. And it isn't the end of the Amnesia series, because we have Rebirth next time, which I'll be starting up after another small break. I'll be uploading the compilation of my favourite moments from this series. And then after that, I'll return with Rebirth. And maybe even during Rebirth, I'll discuss The Dark Descent, Justine, and Machine for Pigs in more detail. I would absolutely love to. But for now, I'm running short on time. And I want this video uploaded by 10 o'clock, so thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one. I appreciate it so much, any time you can spend watching. Stay tuned for next time, where you'll be seeing my compilation. Bye for now.